Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Shane and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a beginner tutorial for how to actually make two scripts communicate to each other. For example, let's say you had a bank account on one script and you had another script that actually gave you money. How could you send the money from one script over to the bank on the other script? So that's what we're actually going to talk about today. So this is definitely a beginner tutorial. If you are advanced or intermediate, this isn't going to be something for you. Alright, so let's get started. Now the first thing you guys are going to need to do is make two scripts. So we're going to right click in our assets window, hit create, and we're going to click a C# script. And I'm going to call this one just our bank. This would not be a good name, but for the sake of this video, this is how we're going to do it. Typically you would call this like a currency manager or something like that. And now we're going to make another script and we're just going to call this one get money, because everybody loves to get some money. So there we go. We have our bank script and we have our get money script. Now let's go into our bank script and let's open it up. We're going to let it do its loading, and awesome. So this was a script from another tutorial. So here we have our bank script. I'm going to go back into Unity and I'm going to open up our get money script. There we go. So now at the top we have two tabs. We have get money and we have bank, and these are our two scripts. So let's start with our bank script. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a variable to store our money in. So we're going to type in a public. Now you guys can do, if you're new to programming, you can do a public int, which is only whole numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do a public double, which is whole numbers that can go like super far, like almost into infinity, but they can also contain like 10 decimal points pretty accurately. And then we can also do a public float, which can go again into the millions, but it can contain large amounts of decimals, like 20 or 30 or 40 decimal places accurately. I don't remember the exact number, but typically this is how it goes. And a int stores the least amount of data, a float stores the second least amount of data, and a double stores the most amount of data. So I think the number is like 1 byte for ints, 8 bytes for floats, and like 16 bytes for doubles. It's something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I'll probably do another video on it. But for now, let's just work with a float. There we go. And we're just going to call this our currency. No, we're going to call it total currency. There we go. So this is just going to represent how much money we have. And then we're also going to type in a public text, just so we can actually see this on our screen, which I always find is a little bit better. Public text, and we're going to call it our total currency text. Okay. Make sure you use a capital T there, and make sure you use a capital T here as well. You don't actually have to use a capital T here, but it's better, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. And if you get this and it's coming up red, there's two things you can do. You can hit show potential fixes, and you can click on this using unityengine.ui, which is the namespace we actually need to interact with UI. But I'm actually going to type it out just for the sake of showing you guys. So up here we're just going to put using, and we're going to do Unity Engine with a capital U and a capital E, and then we're going to do dot or a period, and then we're going to do UI in capitals and close it off. And now you're going to see it should come up green, and there you go. Everything is working just fine. Now for our start function, let's just say our total currency is equal to 100. So let's say we start with $100, and we're going to say our total currency text dot text. Okay, so this is why I said do a capital T here, because what this is referring to is the text object, and this is actually changing the text inside of our text box. So that's what the dot text does. And we're going to say that that text box is going to be equal to our total currency dot toString, just like that. And we don't really want to work with any decimals, so in here I'm just going to put quotations and put FO. This means you want no decimal placings. This means you want 1 decimal, 2 decimals, 3 decimals, etc. So we're just going to do FO just because I don't want to see any decimals on my screen right now. Okay. The next thing we are going to do is we're actually going to get rid of this update for now. There we go. The next thing we're going to do is make a function to get money from our other script. So we're going to do public void, and we're going to call this add to our currency. Okay, and now inside of the parameter box, we're going to put in a float, because we are trying to get our currency in a float. So even if we're sending over an integer, it doesn't matter. It'll turn it into a float for us. And then we're going to put in amount. Okay, so this is how we actually be able to get that conversion without an issue. And then in here, what we want to do is when this function gets called, we want it to add the money to our total currency. So we're going to write our total currency plus equals amount. So it's just going to add the amount to our currency in a float, which is what we need. And then under this, we're just going to update our text again. So I'm going to highlight it, hit Control-C to copy it, and hit Control-V to paste it. There we go. I'm going to do more of an in-depth tutorial on stuff like this if you're a total beginner, but for now, we're just going to leave it like this, and it should work just fine. And this is all we are actually going to need for our bank. So this is what we do to get our money, this is what we do to display our money, and this is just the initialization of our objects. So we're going to save this by hitting Control-S, and we're going to go over to our get money script. Now, we're actually going to attach, we're going to do two things. I'm going to make a button that lets us get money, and I'm going to make a timer that lets us get money. So what we are going to do is type in a public float, and we're going to make this collect, or no, we're going to call this get money click. Okay. Oh, we don't have to put an equals there. That's my fault. There we go. So public float called get money click. And I'm not going to put any text boxes or anything like that. We're just going to remember this number, and we're going to get rid of this update. We're going to put in a void start, and in our void start, we're going to say get money click is equal to 10. So, is equal to 10. So this means we're going to get $10 every time we click, and we're going to put this into a button. So we're just going to hit public void, and we're going to say get money button, and in here we're just going to say every time we click this button, we want to give money to this script. Now there's actually two ways of doing this. We can just go up here and type in public. You can also type in private, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to type in public, and we're just going to say bank. So you're going to type in the class name of this script. So we named it bank, and then you also have to name it something different in the script. So I just name it bank with a lowercase b. Same with if this was like public hotel, I would type in hotel with a lowercase h, but we put in a lowercase b, and this is actually grabbing that script for us. So now what we'd write here is we would write bank with a lowercase b, and then we're going to say dot, and then we're actually going to call the function. So our function was called add to our currency. So we're going to type in add to our currency, and then we're going to put some brackets, and inside of here we're going to hit plus whatever we want to add. So we want to add our get money click, so we can put in get money click. Now you could also, if you didn't want something like this and you just wanted the number to stay the same all the time, you could literally just type in like plus 50, right? But because we're calling this from a variable, let's say this is an upgrade system and building level 1 gives you $10, we will want to put in the actual variable, which is get money click. There we go. And this is essentially the easiest way to actually communicate between scripts. So we reference the script, and then we go to our button, and we just make sure we type in the second name of our script. We type in the function to collect the money, and then we enter in what we're going to send. Now there's another way you can do this as well. You could just put bank, and then you could actually just get the money itself. So the money variable itself is called total currency. And we can say total currency, and then you can just say plus equals get money click. So this is also valid. Now the reason I wouldn't do this is because when you add it into here, the only time we're updating our text is in our start function, right? So it's not actually going to update and show the money. So you would have to do a void update. But now when you do the void update, this is checking like 100 frames a second or whatever the frame rate on your computer is. So it creates extra lag. So for me, instead of wasting time checking something, creating extra lag, we can just call it in a function here and it will only update it when you click the button instead of checking 100 times a second to see if the money's changed at all. So that's just going to be a better way to optimize your games in terms of lag. So I was also going to show you how to get money every second, but actually just looking at the length of this video, I will incorporate that into another video, probably when we get into our Tycoon series. So for now, we're just going to do a button click to show you guys how to actually send the money over. So we're going to hit save. We're going to close out of our scripts and we're going to let them build really quickly. Awesome. Now we're going to need to make two UI elements. So we're going to need to make a text to display our money. So let's just call this display. And in here, you don't have to put anything because it's going to change when we call our script. And then we're also going to want to make a button. And this is just going to be called get money button. And we're going to set our width to maybe 300 by 500. I lied. Let's do 700 by 350. There we go. And for our display, let's increase this to just like 700 by 700. This doesn't really matter. And we'll increase our font size to 70. Let me put something in here just to see if we can see our text. There we go. Oh, this has to be set to all zeros or it's not going to show on our canvas. And there we go. So this is actually just going to display our money. I'm going to turn the camera's color off just so it's easier to actually see everything. Let's set it to like a bright red. There we go. Awesome. Now what we're going to have to do is create an empty object to put our script on. So we're going to put our bank script and we're going to put our get money script. And this game object, I just always call this scripts. There we go. Awesome. Now for our total currency text, which I'm now realizing I spelled wrong, we're going to put in that display because that's going to be our display text. And then for our bank, what we're going to do is actually just drag in the scripts object into here because our bank script is actually on our script object. So we drag it into there and our get money on click is set to 0 just because we haven't started the game, but when we start, it should run fine. Now on our button, we're just going to scroll down and where it says on click on the bottom, you're going to hit this plus sign. And again, we're going to drag in our scripts game object. We're going to hit no function and find our script that gives us money. So it's going to be the get money script. And we're going to find that void get money button. There we go. Now we're just going to save and we're going to run the game. And when we run it, you guys see we have $100, and when we click the button, there you go. Now your scripts are communicating and you're adding $10 every time you click this button. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. That's how I'm going to get back to you guys. Thank you very much, and until next time, we'll see you later.